My precious child, this is not a normal message. This is not a random video you clicked by accident. And this is not a coincidence. God is saying, a final warning has been sent. A huge tragedy is moving toward your house, and if you don't listen to this now, it will be too late to stop it. Don't make the mistake of skipping this. Open this immediately before it's too late. Please, don't skip God. You felt something when you read those words, didn't you? A pause, a pull in your spirit, a strange urgency that made your thumb stop scrolling. That was not fear. That was not anxiety. That was divine interruption. Heaven does not shout without reason. When God sends a final warning, it means mercy has already spoken many times before. And now, time is thin. Listen carefully. There is an unseen shift happening around your house. Not just bricks and walls, but the spiritual atmosphere that surrounds your family, your sleep, your peace, your future. Something has been trying to gain access. Something has been circling. Something has been waiting for distraction. But God, in His mercy, refused to stay silent. And this is where many people make a fatal mistake. They assume warning means destruction is guaranteed. No. Warning means there is still time. Warning means heaven is intervening. Warning means you are chosen to respond before impact. Right now, Archangel Michael is standing as a warrior over households that are marked for divine protection. He is not passive. He is not distant. He is activated. When a final warning is released, it is not only to alert you, it is to mobilize heavenly defense. But here is the truth most people do not understand. Protection requires participation. God can send angels. God can release signs. God can whisper through your spirit. But if you ignore the signal, if you brush it off as exaggeration, if you delay obedience, doors remain open that should have been shut. The tragedy moving toward your house is not random chaos. It is the result of accumulated neglect, ignored nudges, postponed decisions, and tolerated compromises. You have felt it. A tension in the atmosphere lately. That unusual heaviness at night. Those small arguments that escalate too quickly. Those financial patterns that don't make sense. That sudden wave of discouragement that does not feel like your own thoughts. This is not to scare you. This is to wake you. Because when God says final, He means the window is closing. But here is the shocking revelation. The tragedy is not only external. It is connected to alignment. There is something inside your home, an attitude, a habit, a connection, a silence that has created vulnerability. Heaven has been sending subtle signals for weeks, maybe months. A sermon you heard, a dream you dismissed, a conviction you silenced, a conversation you avoided. And now the message is urgent. Archangel Michael does not move without command. When he is dispatched, it is because spiritual territory is being contested. Your house is not just a physical address. It is a spiritual assignment. And when your house carries purpose, it also attracts resistance. But listen closely. The enemy only rushes when he knows his time is short. This huge tragedy that seems to be forming is not unstoppable. It is advancing because it believes you are unaware. It believes you are distracted. It believes you will scroll past the warning. Do not prove it right. God is not dramatic without reason. He is deliberate. You might ask, what kind of tragedy? It could be relational collapse. It could be sudden financial crisis. It could be betrayal from someone trusted. It could be a legal complication. It could be a health scare triggered by neglect. The form is different for each house, but the root is the same: ignored instruction. Here is what you must understand in this very moment. A final warning is actually a final mercy. If destruction was certain, there would be silence. The fact that you are hearing this means intervention is still possible. Right now, heaven is looking for agreement. Agreement activates protection. Archangel Michael stands ready, sword drawn, not to frighten you, but to enforce divine boundaries. But boundaries must be declared. Doors must be closed intentionally. Atmospheres must be cleansed deliberately. This is the moment where you decide whether this message is just noise or instruction. Because if you listen, the trajectory shifts. If you act, the momentum reverses. If you respond, the tragedy dissolves before it arrives. But if you ignore it, silence follows. And silence is not always peace. Sometimes silence is consequence. Take this seriously, not emotionally, but spiritually. Something is moving, but something greater has already been sent. The question is not whether God warned you. The question is whether you will respond before the window closes. And what you do in the next few moments could determine the atmosphere of your house for years to come. My chosen one, something is shifting even as you listen. The warning you heard is not meant to leave you frozen. It is meant to move you into alignment. When God sends a final alert, it is not to create panic inside your heart, but to create precision inside your actions. There is a difference between fear and urgency. Fear paralyzes. Urgency awakens. Right now, heaven is asking you to examine your house, not just physically, but spiritually. What has been allowed to remain that should have been removed? What conversation have you postponed that should have already happened? What pattern have you tolerated because confronting it felt uncomfortable? This is where many people misunderstand divine protection. They believe angels simply override consequences. But protection is a partnership. When Archangel Michael stands guard, he responds to obedience. His presence enforces what you authorize through faith and action. The tragedy that has been forming does not appear overnight. It builds quietly. It gathers strength in unnoticed compromises. It grows in spaces where discipline was delayed and discernment was ignored. And now, God is saying the buildup has reached its limit. There is something in your environment that must be corrected immediately. For some, it is financial recklessness that hath been brushed aside with optimism. For others, it is emotional distance growing silently between family members. For some, it is spiritual dryness that has left the house uncovered. The form may vary, but the urgency remains the same. Heaven is not accusing you. Heaven is alerting you. Archangel Michael's assignment is not only defense, but exposure. When he moves, hidden weaknesses come to light, not to shame you, but to strengthen you. You may begin noticing things clearly now that you once overlooked. You may suddenly feel conviction about habits that previously felt harmless. That is not coincidence. That is intervention. The tragedy moving toward your house feeds on delay. It feeds on the assumption that tomorrow will always offer another chance to correct today's neglect. But God is interrupting that illusion. This is the moment to take spiritual inventory. Reclaim your authority in your home. Speak peace over the rooms. Address unresolved tension. Put structure where there hath been chaos. Remove influences that disrupt your household stability. The shift begins with intentional action. Do not underestimate small adjustments. Sometimes the greatest disasters are prevented by the simplest decisions made at the right time. There is also something else you must understand. The enemy often accelerates pressure right before exposure. If you have felt things intensifying lately, misunderstandings, unexpected bills, emotional heaviness, that is not proof of defeat. It may be proof that a spiritual confrontation is underway. Archangel Michael does not retreat from confrontation. He advances when authority is declared. When you align your house with truth, he enforces boundaries that chaos cannot cross. But you must respond now, not next week, not when it feels convenient, not when the situation becomes unbearable. Now, the warning was sent because time-sensitive correction is required. And here is the powerful truth. The same energy that could have produced tragedy can be redirected into testimony. Yes, you heard that correctly. What was forming as loss can transform into protection. What was aligning as crisis can realign as breakthrough. But transformation only occurs through decisive obedience. This message reached you for a reason. You are not here by accident. If this is speaking directly into your current situation, do not stay silent about it. Engage with it. Agree with it. Declare that your house will not be overtaken. And as you do that, I encourage you, support this mission. Like this message so it reaches others who may be standing at the edge of unseen danger. Share it with someone whose household needs divine covering. Comment your agreement below and declare protection over your family. Subscribe to this channel and become part of a community that refuses to ignore heaven's voice. If you feel led, join the membership and stand with us consistently as we release these warnings and encouragements. Your engagement is not just support for a platform, it is participation in spreading light. Because someone else is one warning away from prevention. Before you move on, hold steady for what is about to be revealed next. What you are about to understand will connect the warning directly to a specific action that must not be delayed. Heaven has already positioned help, but alignment unlocks it. And what you choose to do in this narrow window will determine whether this warning becomes a turning point or a regret. Beloved soul, lean in carefully, because what I am about to reveal is the core of this warning. The tragedy that has been forming around your house is not random misfortune. It is connected to a door that has remained slightly open. Not wide open. Not obvious. Just slightly open. And that small opening has been enough to invite pressure into your environment. God is saying this is the last call before correction becomes consequence. You may be wondering what this door is. For some, it is pride that refuses accountability. For others, it is secrecy that has grown roots in hidden corners of the home. For some, it is distraction that has slowly replaced devotion. For others, it is tolerance of behavior that should have been confronted months ago. This is not about perfection. This is about alignment. Archangel Michael has been assigned not just to defend, but to expose the weak point. When he stands at the threshold of your house, he reveals what does not belong. And lately, he has been pressing on one specific area repeatedly. That nudge you keep feeling. That discomfort you try to silence. That recurring thought telling you to fix something immediately. That is not your imagination. That is heaven knocking. The reason this message feels intense is because the timeline is real. There is a chain reaction that has already begun in the unseen realm. If left unchecked, it will manifest in visible ways. A sudden conflict, a major misunderstanding, an avoidable financial blow, a painful rupture in trust, something that could shake the stability of your household. But here is the mystery. It is still reversible. God never sends a final warning without also releasing a final chance. You are standing at a crossroads moment. What you correct now will cancel what was forming. Listen closely. The house is symbolic as well as literal. It represents your inner life, If chaos has been quietly building inside you, it will eventually echo within your walls. Internal disorder eventually becomes external disruption. That is why this message is urgent. You must confront what you have been postponing. Have the conversation. Make the adjustment. Remove the influence. Rebuild the discipline. Re-establish prayer in your home. Reclaim peace intentionally. Stop assuming things will fix themselves. They will not, but they can be fixed. Archangel Michael does not fight battles you refuse to acknowledge. When you name the issue, you authorize intervention. When you humble yourself, you strengthen your protection. When you act decisively, you cut off the pathway tragedy was using to approach. This is the final mercy before manifestation. You may feel conviction rising even now. Do not push it away. Conviction and protection in disguise. It is far better to feel discomfort now than devastation later. Heaven is not threatening you. Heaven is pleading with you. Because once momentum crosses a certain point, prevention becomes repair. And repair always costs more than prevention. Pause and ask yourself honestly, what have I been ignoring? The answer will surface quickly. He always does. That is the area that must be addressed immediately. As you respond, something powerful happens in the unseen realm. The advancing shadow begins to lose ground. The strategy designed against your house begins to collapse. What was moving toward you slows down. What with gaining strength weakens. And Archangel Michael steps forward, not just as a warrior, but as a guardian of restored order. But you must act now. If this message is striking your spirit, do not dismiss it as coincidence. This is precision. This is divine timing. This is heaven refusing to let you walk blindly into something avoidable. Type "I choose alignment" in the comments if this is speaking directly to your house. Blessing code 444 is being activated over those who respond in obedience. Now receive this blessing. May your home be sealed with wisdom. May hidden vulnerabilities be revealed and corrected. May every approaching crisis dissolve before it reaches your door. May Archangel Michael stand at your threshold with unwavering authority. And may what was meant to shake you instead strengthen you. To board this mission with intention. When you release a super thanks, join the membership, or so through the PayPal link in the description. You are not funding a channel. You are helping send warnings that rescue households before collapse. The Lord says, as you sow into light, I will cause light to rise in your dwelling. Become a vessel in this moment. Act now. Strengthen this assignment. Faithful one, there is something deeper you must understand now. When God says a tragedy is moving toward your house, He is not speaking only about an event. He is speaking about a pattern that has been gaining momentum. Events are sudden, but patterns are predictable. And heaven always addresses the pattern before the event manifests. This is why the warning feels personal. You have been sensing repetition in certain areas of your life. The same type of disagreement. The same financial strain. The same emotional distance. The same cycle of motivation and collapse. These are not isolated incidents. They are signals. And signals ignored eventually become consequences experienced. Archangel Michael has been observing the perimeter of your household. Where there is consistency in prayer, there is reinforcement. Where there is unity, there is stability. But where there is division, even subtle division, pressure begins to test the structure. Division does not always look loud. Sometimes it looks like silent resentment. Sometimes it looks like unspoken disappointment. Sometimes it looks like exhaustion that no one addresses. And slowly, without dramatic explosions, the foundation weakens. The tragedy that was forming was designed to strike at a weak point, not randomly, but strategically. It was targeting what had already been strained. That is why this message matters so much. It exposes the strategy before it completes its mission. There is still time to strengthen the weak place. You may feel resistance rising even now. A voice saying, "It's not that serious," or "Things will work out," or "I don't want to overreact." But discernment is not overreaction. It is wisdom applied early. God is saying this is not about fear. It is about stewardship. Your house is not just a place of comfort. It is a place of influence. What happens within your walls affects generations. Children absorb atmospheres. Partners respond to energy. Even finances react to discipline and order. When the internal climate shifts, everything connected to it shifts as well. This is why the enemy targets households. If the house shakes, everything inside it trembles. But here is the turning point. When correction begins, protection increases. The moment you decide to repair what has been neglected, heaven reinforces your decision. Archangel Michael does not wait for perfection. He responds to intention backed by action. The instant you choose alignment, reinforcement begins to surround you. Some of you need to restore communication immediately. There is something unsaid that has created distance. Silence has allowed assumptions to grow. Address it calmly. Speak truth without aggression. Invite peace back into the room. Some of you need to restructure your financial discipline. Spending without awareness has created vulnerability. Accountability brings stability. Order attracts favor. Some of you need to remove influences that have been subtly disrupting your focus. Not everything that entertains you strengthens you. Not every connection that feels good protects you. And some of you need to rebuild spiritual consistency. Prayer cannot be occasional when pressure is constant. Worship cannot be rare when resistance is strategic. Your house must become a place where peace is intentional, not accidental. The tragedy was counting on delay. It was counting on distraction. It was counting on you dismissing the warning as exaggeration. But you are still here. You are still listening. And that means the trajectory can still change. Understand this clearly. Prevention rarely feels dramatic. It feels disciplined. It feels intentional. It feels like small corrections that seem almost insignificant in the moment. But those small corrections create massive redirection over time. Imagine a ship slightly adjusting its course early. It avoids a storm miles ahead without ever seeing the danger up close. That is what this message is offering you. A course correction before collision. Archangel Michael is not only a warrior of battle. He is a guardian of boundaries. When you reinforce your house with truth, integrity, and consistency, he stands at the edge and enforces what you have established. The urgency is real, but so is the opportunity. You are not being warned because you are weak. You are being warned because you are valued. Houses without purpose are rarely targeted. The intensity of the pressure reveals the importance of the assignment attached to your household. This is not the time to shrink back. This is the time to rise in responsibility. Look at your house with fresh eyes tonight. Observe the atmosphere. Notice the tone of conversations. Pay attention to what feels unsettled. And instead of ignoring it, address it. Peace is not automatic. It is built. Protection is not passive. It is activated. And tragedy is not inevitable when obedience intervenes. Heaven has given you advance notice. That alone is proof of mercy. Now the next step will reveal something even more specific about what must shift immediately. Stay attentive. because clarity is increasing, and what you understand next may unlock the exact action that seals your house completely. Steady your heart, because what is being uncovered now goes even deeper. The warning you received was not only about what is approaching your house, it was also about what hath been tolerated within it. There is a difference between attack and access. An attack comes from the outside. Access is granted from the inside. And many times, what feels like an external threat is actually internal permission that was never revoked. God is saying the tragedy moving toward your house has been studying your patterns. It hath been waiting for a predictable response. It hath been observing how you handle stress, how you react to conflict, how you manage pressure. And where it finds repetition, it finds opportunity. But heaven has interrupted the pattern. Archangel Michael stands not only as a defender but as a disruptor of cycles. When he is sent, it is because a repeated weakness must be broken before it becomes a permanent scar. And there is a cycle in your house that must end now. For some, it is the cycle of harsh words spoken in moments of frustration. Words linger longer than emotions. They echo in rooms long after arguments end. Over time, they create invisible fractures. The tragedy forming was preparing to strike through accumulated emotional distance. For others, it is the cycle of avoidance. Problems are sensed but never addressed. Tension is felt but never discussed. Responsibilities are delayed until pressure builds. This pattern quietly weakens stability. The approaching crisis was going to expose that instability publicly. And for some, it is the cycle of spiritual inconsistency. Prayer when convenient, faith when comfortable, gratitude when things are good, but silence when discipline is required. This uneven rhythm leaves gaps in spiritual covering. The warning is clear. The cycle must break now. You may feel overwhelmed hearing this, but do not mistake clarity for condemnation. Exposure is mercy. It is far better to see the crack in the wall before the storm hits than to pretend the structure is flawless. Archangel Michael is not pointing at your weakness to shame you. He is marking it so reinforcement can begin. Here is what you must do immediately. Interrupt the predictable response. When tension rises, choose calm instead of reaction. When finances feel tight, choose strategy instead of denial. When distance grows, choose communication instead of silence. When you feel spiritually dry, choose discipline instead of distraction. The power of interruption changes momentum. The tragedy forming was built on expectation. It expected you to respond the way you always have. It expected emotion to override wisdom. It expected delay. It expected pride. It expected silence. But heaven has now made you aware, and awareness destroys predictability. The moment you respond differently, the strategy begins to collapse. There is something else you must hear. The enemy often amplifies temptation or pressure right after a warning is given. Why? Because exposure threatens progress. If you notice heightened tension after this message, do not panic. Recognize it as resistance to correction. Stand firm. Archangel Michael does not retreat when resistance increases. He advances, but your consistency must match your intention. A single emotional decision can undo weeks of discipline. This is why urgency matters. Some of you are one conversation away from restoring peace. Some are one budget decision away from preventing financial strain. Some are one act of humility away from stopping relational fracture. And some are one committed prayer routine away from sealing your home spiritually. Do not underestimate small obedience. The tragedy that was moving toward your house was not designed to destroy instantly. It was designed to destabilize gradually. But gradual destabilization can be reversed by gradual strengthening. Start tonight. Pray intentionally in your home. Speak peace over your rooms. If reconciliation is needed, initiate it. If apology is required, offer it. If boundaries must be established, enforce them gently but firmly. You are not powerless. You are positioned. This warning was sent because heaven values what your house represents. There is purpose attached to your family. There is influence attached to your environment. And that purpose cannot be allowed to collapse under preventable pressure. Archangel Michael stands ready to enforce what you establish. But what you establish must be deliberate. The cycle ends with you. The momentum shifts with you. And what was forming as tragedy can transform into testimony if you respond with courage. Do not wait for visible signs of crisis to validate this message. Prevention often looks invisible, but its results are undeniable. You are in a sacred moment of decision, and what you choose now determines what your house experiences next. Listen closely now, because the atmosphere around your house is reacting to your awareness. The moment a warning is received and taken seriously, the unseen realm shifts. What was quietly advancing begins to hesitate. What was building confidence begins to lose it. Why? Because light has entered the strategy, and darkness cannot operate comfortably when it knows it has been exposed. But this is also the most delicate stage. When momentum is interrupted, there is often a final attempt to regain control. You may notice unusual irritation in your home. Minor issues may feel bigger than they should. Old temptations may resurface. Unexpected expenses or misunderstandings may try to provoke fear. Do not interpret this as failure. Interpret it as resistance. Archangel Michael stands firm in moments like this. He is not intimidated by escalation. In fact, escalation often confirms that something significant is being prevented. The pressure you feel is not proof that tragedy will win. It is proof that intervention has begun. However, intervention must be reinforced. God is saying this is the hour to tighten what hath been loose. Guard your words carefully. Guard your reactions carefully. Guard your decisions carefully. When correction begins, consistency must follow. One careless reaction can reopen what you just closed. There is also something deeper happening within you. Your discernment is sharpening. You are beginning to recognize patterns faster. You are noticing emotional triggers before they control you. That is growth. That is spiritual maturity increasing under pressure. The tragedy that was moving toward your house depended on emotional impulsiveness. It depended on exhaustion. It depended on distraction. But you are no longer unaware, and awareness creates advantage. Still, you must remain alert. Do not grow relaxed too quickly. When things begin to feel calm, maintain discipline. Continue the conversations that restore unity. Continue the financial restructuring if that is needed. Continue consistent prayer even when urgency fades. Stability is not built in a single emotional moment. It is built in daily repetition. Archangel Michael reinforces structure, not chaos. When your home reflects order, peace, and intentionality, his presence strengthens it like a shield around the perimeter. And understand this clearly. Sometimes the tragedy God warned you about is not a single dramatic event, but a slow unraveling that would have taken years to repair. The warning was mercy to prevent long-term damage. You are being protected from something that could have reshaped your future in painful ways. Take that seriously. If this message is resonating deeply with your situation, engage with it openly. Declare protection over your household in the comments. Let your agreement be visible. When you interact, You are not just supporting a video. You are amplifying a warning that may reach someone else at the exact moment they need it. Share this message with someone whose home has felt unstable lately. Like it so it travels further. Subscribe to this channel and stand connected to consistent spiritual guidance. Join the membership if you desire deeper alignment and continued reinforcement. Your participation strengthens a network of households choosing awareness over regret. And hear this clearly, what comes next will reveal why the timing of this warning was so precise. You will understand why this moment, not last month or next year, was chosen for intervention. There is a layer of strategy behind the timing that you cannot afford to miss. Stay with this, because the clarity about to unfold will connect everything you have felt recently into one unmistakable pattern. Right now, peace is within reach. But peace must be protected. Some of you have already felt a subtle shift in your home since taking this seriously. Conversations feel lighter. Thoughts feel clearer. There is a calm beginning to replace tension. That is confirmation. Do not ignore it. Archangel Michael responds to obedience with reinforcement. The more consistent you are, the stronger the covering becomes. Remember, tragedy is not your destiny. Disorder is not your inheritance. Chaos is not your assignment. Your house was meant to be stable, fruitful, and secure. But security requires stewardship. The warning was sent because you were trusted to handle it. And you are proving the trust justified. Remain steady. Remain disciplined. Remain intentional. Because what you are about to understand next will reveal the hidden reason your house was targeted in the first place. Pay attention now, because the deeper reason behind this attack is about to be uncovered. Your house was not targeted randomly. It was marked because of potential. The pressure forming around your home is connected to what your household is meant to carry in the future. Tragedy often moves toward purpose before purpose fully manifests. What you are building, what you are becoming, what your family represents. These things threaten forces that prefer disorder over destiny. This is why the warning was urgent. There is something about your house that holds influence. It may not look dramatic from the outside. It may appear ordinary. But heaven sees trajectory, not just present condition. And the trajectory of your household carries weight. Archangel Michael does not guard emptiness. He guards assignments. The instability that was forming was not merely about finances, emotions, or conflict. It was about distraction. If your house becomes consumed with internal crisis, it cannot step into its larger calling. If energy is drained by avoidable tension, vision becomes blurred. If relationships fracture, focus shifts from purpose to survival. The approaching tragedy was designed to consume your attention for years. Think about that. Years of repair. Years of rebuilding trust. Years of recovering financially. Years of healing emotional wounds. Heaven intervened because the cost would have been greater than you realize. Some of you were on the verge of decisions that would have permanently altered your direction. A contract you were about to sign. A reaction you were about to release. A separation you were about to initiate without full clarity. The warning stopped momentum at the edge. That is mercy. And now that the larger strategy is being revealed, your responsibility increases. You are not just preventing loss. You are protecting legacy. There is generational impact attached to your obedience right now. Children, future relationships, opportunities not yet visible, all of them are influenced by what you correct today. What feels small in the present may echo loudly in the future. Archangel Michael stands at the intersection of prevention and destiny. When he is dispatched, it is often because something larger than the immediate situation is at stake. Your house carries seeds of influence. Seeds must be protected while they grow. You may have wondered why pressure intensified recently. It intensified because growth intensified. As your awareness expanded, resistance attempted to counter it. But resistance only proves significance. Here is what you must guard now more than ever: unity. Unity does not mean perfection. It means alignment. It means choosing resolution over ego. It means protecting the bond of your household even when disagreements arise. Division is the fastest way to weaken potential. If there are fractures, repair them. If there are misunderstandings, clarify them. If there are unspoken fears, bring them into light calmly. Silence gives fear room to expand. The tragedy that was forming relied on silence. But you are no longer silent. You are aware. You are alert. And awareness changes outcomes. Some of you may feel tired from constant vigilance. But understand this: short-term discipline prevents long-term exhaustion. A season of intentional correction is far lighter than years of repair. Your house is stabilizing because you responded. Even now, the atmosphere is recalibrating. Peace is returning in subtle ways. Conversations are softening. Insight is increasing. That is not coincidence. That is alignment taking effect. But do not forget why this happened. You were warned because you are called. And calling attracts resistance. Archangel Michael remains stationed because the assignment over your house has not diminished. If anything, it has become clearer. Protection increases when purpose is embraced. Continue strengthening what you corrected. Continue guarding your reactions. Continue building intentional habits. Continue prioritizing spiritual consistency. Stability is maintained the same way it is restored, through repetition of wise choices. There is one more layer you must understand, and it will bring everything together. The timing of this warning is connected to a shift that is about to occur around your house. A shift that will test whether this correction was temporary or permanent. Stay attentive, because what is coming next is not a threat. It is a test of maturity, and how you respond to it will confirm that the tragedy has truly been stopped. Remain steady, because what is unfolding now is the confirmation stage. When a tragedy is intercepted, there is always a moment of testing that follows. Not a test of destruction, but a test of transformation. The shift approaching your house is not meant to break you. It is meant to reveal whether the correction you made has truly taken root. This is where many people misunderstand spiritual warfare. They believe the danger ends the moment awareness begins. But awareness must mature into discipline, and discipline must mature into consistency. A new opportunity is approaching your household. It may look like growth. It may look like increase. It may look like responsibility expanding. But hidden within that opportunity will be the very pressure point that once made you vulnerable. This is not coincidence. This is refinement. Archangel Michael remains stationed because protection does not mean absence of testing. It means reinforcement during it. The shift coming toward your house will quietly examine your unity, your communication, your financial wisdom, your spiritual consistency. The same areas that were weak before will be gently pressed again, not to harm you, but to confirm strength. If you react the old way, instability reopens. If you respond the new way, stability solidifies. The tragedy that was moving toward your house has already lost its momentum. But this coming moment will determine whether it stays defeated permanently. Growth requires proof. You may soon face a decision that looks harmless. It may involve time management. It may involve a financial risk. It may involve a relational compromise. It may involve emotional reaction under stress, and it will feel familiar. That familiarity is the signal. This is where maturity speaks louder than emotion. God is saying the window of warning has shifted into a window of proving. Not to prove your worth, but to prove your change. Heaven already knows your potential. Now your actions must confirm it. Archangel Michael enforces boundaries that you establish. But if boundaries are relaxed, protection adjusts accordingly. Authority flows through alignment. The more consistent your alignment, the stronger the covering. Do not become complacent just because peace has returned. Peace is not permission to relax discipline. It is confirmation that discipline works. There is also blessing attached to this test. If you respond wisely in the moment that mirrors your past weakness, something powerful will unlock. Increase that was delayed will move forward. Favor that was paused will accelerate. Trust that was fragile will strengthen. Stability will become visible, not just internal. This is why the warning came before the opportunity. Heaven prepared you in advance. The shift coming toward your house is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to elevate you. But elevation requires stability. And stability requires self-control. Pay attention to small triggers. Watch your tone when stress appears. Watch your decisions when pressure rises. Watch your spending when opportunity knocks. Watch your words when misunderstanding tries to surface. These moments are not random. They are checkpoints. You are being trusted with growth. And growth handled wisely becomes legacy. Archangel Michael does not only guard you from harm. He guards your promotion. When your house passes the test of maturity, reinforcement becomes expansion. Protection becomes acceleration. Some of you are about to see doors open that once felt stuck. But this time, you will walk through them differently. You will move with awareness. You will speak with patience. You will decide with clarity. And that difference will secure what once felt unstable. If this message confirms something in your spirit, type "My house is sealed" in the comments. Lesson code 818 is now activated over every household choosing maturity over impulse. May your home be strengthened beyond its former state. May every test reveal growth. May every opportunity confirm wisdom. May Archangel Michael stand not only as your defender, but as your witness of transformation. As this shift approaches, sow into what is strengthening you. When you release a super thanks, join the membership, or give through the PayPal link in the description, you are planting into a field that protects households before collapse. The Lord declares, "Those who water others will themselves be watered." Let your giving become a prophetic act of stability. Move now. Strengthen the mission that strengthens homes. Take a deep breath, because what you are stepping into now is not survival but expansion. The tragedy that was once moving toward your house has been intercepted, weakened, and redirected. But heaven never stops at prevention. When danger is avoided through obedience, growth follows. Protection creates space, and space invites increase. This is the season where your house will begin to feel different. Not because nothing challenging will ever appear again, but because you have matured through awareness. The same pressures that once felt overwhelming will now feel manageable. The same triggers that once caused reaction will now invite reflection. That is not luck. That is transformation. Archangel Michael is no longer standing only as a defender at your threshold. He is now standing as a guardian of expansion. His assignment shifts when your alignment stabilizes. Protection turns into advancement. You may notice opportunities approaching your household that previously felt out of reach. Conversations may open doors that once seemed closed. Financial clarity may create options that once felt impossible. Emotional healing may restore confidence that once felt lost. This is not random timing. It is the result of averted disaster. Imagine if the warning had been ignored. Imagine if the cycle had continued unchecked. You would be entering this season with instability instead of strength. You would be reacting instead of building. You would be repairing instead of expanding. But because you responded, you are positioned differently. Now, here is the caution that must remain in your spirit. Expansion tests humility. When stability returns and increase begins, pride tries to whisper that the danger is permanently gone because of your own strength. Do not fall into that illusion. The same discipline that stopped tragedy must now sustain growth. Your house is becoming stronger, but strength must remain anchored in awareness. Continue protecting unity. Continue managing resources wisely. Continue speaking life within your walls. Continue spiritual consistency even when urgency fades. Archangel Michael reinforces households that remain alert even in blessing. There is also something generational happening here. The correction you embraced did more than stop a single event. It shifted a pattern that may have been repeating quietly for years. Perhaps you witnessed similar instability in previous generations. Perhaps financial stress, relational tension, or emotional volatility was normalized in the past. But you chose differently. That decision breaks repetition, and broken repetition creates new legacy. Your children, your future relationships, your long-term plans, they will operate from a different foundation because you responded when warned. What once felt like inherited instability is now replaced with intentional stability. This is how destiny is protected. And now you must prepare for expansion with wisdom. When opportunity comes, evaluate it carefully. Growth is not about accepting everything. It is about choosing what aligns. When new relationships form, guard your boundaries. Not every connection is meant to enter your inner circle. When finances increase, avoid careless spending. Stability is maintained through restraint. Expansion without discipline creates new vulnerability. But expansion with discipline creates legacy. The atmosphere of your house will continue to feel lighter if you remain intentional. You may even sense renewed motivation returning. Dreams you postponed may begin resurfacing. Plans you delayed may now feel possible again. That is the sign that tragedy has truly been turned away. Archangel Michael's presence during this season is not loud. It is steady, not dramatic, but constant. He stands not because danger is imminent, but because destiny is unfolding. Stay grounded. Remember how close instability once came. Let that memory keep you wise, not fearful. Gratitude protects humility. Humility protects growth. You are no longer in a reactive posture. You are in a building posture. But one final revelation remains. There is something about the timing of your expansion that connects directly to why the warning felt so urgent at the beginning. The urgency was not only about preventing loss. It was about preparing you for what was coming next. And what is coming next requires a stable house. Because the influence of your household is about to extend beyond its walls. And you must be ready. Stay alert, because the expansion that is approaching your house is not small. The reason the warning was so urgent in the beginning is becoming clear now. God was not only protecting you from tragedy, He was positioning you for influence. And influence without stability becomes collapse. That is why correction had to come first. Your household is entering a season where others will quietly observe it. Not in an obvious spotlight, but in subtle ways. People will notice your peace under pressure. They will notice your unity during stress. They will notice your discipline when opportunity increases. And without you realizing it, your house will begin setting an example. This is why the tragedy had to be stopped. If instability had struck, your influence would have been compromised. But because awareness interrupted the pattern, you are now prepared for expansion that carries responsibility. Archangel Michael's role in this stage is not only to guard, but to strengthen your perimeter as visibility increases. When influence grows, so does attention. Not all attention is harmful, but discernment becomes essential. There may be new invitations extended to you. Some will be aligned. Some will not. The maturity you develop during correction must now guide your decisions in expansion. You not say yes to everything that appears good. Say yes to what is aligned. The tragedy that once moved toward your house attempted to distract you from this very moment. If chaos had erupted, you would not be emotionally available to step into influence. You would be preoccupied with repair. But now, you are stable enough to build outward. Here is where many households stumble again. When growth begins, consistency often weakens. Prayer becomes occasional again. Communication becomes assumed rather than intentional. Budgeting becomes relaxed. Boundaries become flexible. And slowly, strength erodes. Do not repeat that cycle. Expansion requires even greater discipline than prevention. If this message has guided and strengthened your home so far, do not keep it to yourself. Like this video so it reaches households on the edge of avoidable crisis. Share it with someone who needs a warning before regret. Comment below and declare, "My house will influence with integrity." Subscribe to this channel to remain anchored in consistent guidance. Join the membership if you are ready to stand deeper in this mission. Your engagement spreads protection further than you realize. And hear this clearly. What I am about to reveal next connects directly to the spiritual authority over your house. You will understand why certain pressures were allowed in the first place and why they had limits. What you are about to learn will shift how you see challenges permanently. Stay focused, because this insight will anchor your expansion in confidence. Now understand this. Influence is not about perfection. It is about integrity. Your house does not need to be flawless to inspire others. It needs to be consistent. When mistakes happen, handle them with humility. When stress rises, respond with calm. When blessing increases, remain grateful. Archangel Michael reinforces humility. Pride weakens covering. Gratitude strengthens it. There will be moments soon when you realize how close you were to a different outcome. A conversation may reveal information that shocks you. An avoided situation may surface publicly and you will see how easily it could have been yours. In that moment, do not feel fear. Feel gratitude. You were warned because you were chosen. And chosen households carry responsibility. Your influence may begin within your walls, but it will not end there. Stability spreads. Peace is contagious. Wisdom is attractive. When your house operates in alignment, others will seek the source of that strength. Be ready to answer with clarity. The expansion coming is not loud. It is steady, not dramatic, but impactful. Continue reinforcing your foundation. Continue protecting unity. Continue choosing wisdom over impulse. Because the final layer of this message will reveal how authority has already been established over your household. And once you understand that authority, you will walk into expansion without hesitation. You are not stepping into growth alone. Protection walks with you, and purpose is waiting ahead. Listen carefully now, because this is where your understanding must deepen. Everything that has happened, from the warning to the correction to the expansion, has been connected to authority. Not just protection, not just discipline. Authority. Your house carries spiritual authority, whether you realized it or not. Authority is not loud. It does not always announce itself, but it governs outcomes. And when authority is exercised properly, it limits what chaos is allowed to do. The tragedy that was moving toward your house had permission only up to a point. It can pressure. It can test. It could expose weakness. But it could not destroy without your agreement. That is the part many people never understand. Agreement is powerful. When you ignore warnings, you unknowingly agree with disorder. When you tolerate dysfunction, you authorize instability. When you react emotionally without restraint, you strengthen chaos. But when you correct, when you align, when you discipline yourself, you revoke that agreement. And revoked agreement cancels escalation. Archangel Michael operates under divine authority, but he responds to human alignment. When your house began to shift, when conversations were repaired, when discipline was restored, when prayer became consistent, authority was reestablished. The boundary was redrawn. That is why the tragedy slowed. That is why the atmosphere changed. That is why expansion became possible. Authority is not about control. It is about stewardship. Your household is a territory entrusted to you. Your words shape its climate. Your decisions influence its direction. Your reactions determine its stability. Now that you understand this, your responsibility increases again. You cannot unknow what you now know. Going forward, every choice must pass through awareness. Every reaction must pass through maturity. Every opportunity must pass through discernment. Authority grows when it is exercised consistently. There will still be challenges. Do not expect life to become pressure-free. But pressure will no longer intimidate you the same way. You understand patterns now. You recognize cycles. You see warning signs earlier. That awareness is authority in action. Archangel Michael remains positioned not because danger is inevitable, but because influence is expanding. The more influence your house carries, the more important your authority becomes. Not to dominate others, but to maintain integrity. You may soon find yourself guiding someone else through a similar situation. A friend facing relational tension. A family member struggling financially. A colleague overwhelmed by instability. And when they ask how you maintain peace, you will speak from experience. Your authority will comfort others. This is how purpose multiplies. The warning you received was not meant to isolate you in fear. It was meant to elevate you in understanding. Now you see how easily patterns can form. Now you see how small compromises accumulate. Now you see how discipline protects destiny. And because you see it, you can guard against it. There is something powerful about a household that has faced potential crisis and emerged wiser. It carries quiet confidence. It does not panic easily. It does not overreact quickly. It responds intentionally. That is who you are becoming. Do not forget how close instability once came. Let that memory sharpen your discernment, not weaken your peace. Gratitude must remain constant. Authority remains strong where humility remains present. The final revelation is about sealing what has been established. You have corrected. You have matured. You have expanded. You have understood authority. Now the seal must be applied. Because what is sealed cannot be easily shaken. In the next and final message, you will step into a declaration, that confirms protection permanently over your house. It will not be emotional. It will not be dramatic. It will be decisive. And once spoken in alignment, it will mark the end of what tried to form against you. Stay attentive, because this is where everything comes together. Stand firm now, because this is the sealing moment. Everything that has unfolded, from the first urgent warning to this final revelation, has been leading to one decisive act: confirmation. Not fear, not anxiety. Confirmation. The tragedy that was moving toward your house has been intercepted, exposed, weakened, and redirected. But prevention alone is not the end of the story. What must happen now is sealing. A house that has been corrected must be sealed with intentional authority. Sealing is different from reacting. Reacting is emotional. Sealing is deliberate. When something is sealed, it is marked as protected territory. It is declared off limits to chaos. It is established under higher authority. And this is where your voice matters more than ever. God is saying, now speak over your house what you have learned. Do not whisper it casually. Declare it with awareness. Declare that your home will not host disorder. Declare that unity will remain guarded. Declare that discipline will remain consistent. Declare that peace will not be optional but intentional. Because what you declare consistently becomes atmosphere. Archangel Michael stands ready at this moment not as a warrior in combat, but as a witness of covenant. When you establish boundaries in alignment with heaven, he enforces them. Not occasionally, not emotionally, but consistently. The seal is not a one-time feeling. It is a maintained posture. From this day forward, you must refuse to normalize small instability. If tension arises, address it early. If finances begin to drift, correct them quickly. If communication weakens, strengthen it immediately. Sealed houses respond early, not late. You have seen how patterns form. You have seen how warnings feel. You have seen how correction shifts momentum. Now you understand the full cycle. And because you understand it, you are accountable to guard it. There will be moments in the future when pressure attempts to test your boundary again. But this time, you will recognize it immediately. You will not wait for escalation. You will not assume it will disappear on its own. You will act early. That is the mark of a sealed house. Archangel Michael does not guard houses that remain passive. He guards houses that participate in their protection. And you have chosen participation. This is why peace will feel different now. It will not feel fragile. It will feel anchored. It will not feel temporary. It will feel established. The huge tragedy that once moved toward your house was never stronger than your obedience. It only relied on your distraction. But distraction has been replaced with awareness. And awareness has been reinforced with authority. Now seal it. Right now, declare in your spirit that your house is covered. Declare that no preventable crisis will cross your threshold. Declare that wisdom will guide decisions. Declare that unity will guard relationships. Declare that discipline will protect growth. Type "My house is established" in the comments if you are sealing this message over your home. Blessing Code 1010 is now released over every household that responds with authority and alignment. May your walls hold peace. May your rooms carry clarity. May your finances reflect wisdom. May your relationships reflect strength. May Archangel Michael stand as a constant guardian over what has been sealed today. And now hear this final call. The Lord says, "When you strengthen my work, I strengthen your dwelling." If this message has protected your house, then become part of protecting others. When you release a super thanks, join the membership. or sow through the PayPal link in the description. You are not giving to a channel. You are sending warnings that rescue families before collapse. I am stirring your heart right now to act. As you sow into this mission, heaven records it as seed in fertile ground, and your house will reap stability in every season. Do not delay obedience. Step into this moment. Seal your support and strengthen this assignment now.